Smoke up here. Bit split up on the side of Phoenix. They could always use that horn to get vision, but instead they're gonna head into the Roshan pit. Now, this is a very interesting gambit. They take Roshan surprisingly fast with the Spectre and Desolate. But you know, for sure you're gonna be fighting these scary ultimates. They sneak Roshan, they get the Aegis, get the cheese. Now looking for a fight. Nice BKB there, completely dodging out that Static Storm. Able to take down both supports in quick succession. Now Shiro left behind. RP does land onto a lot of heroes though. Power and Storm coming out. Big Ravage on top of everything as well. And the buybacks from the supports here. Phoenix, they are looking to hit back hard. Spectre going to be respawning out of that Aegis. But how do you get away from this surrounded by her enemies? Is able to get into the low ground. Nice dodge on the Skewer as well. But Shiro, he will be able to get the stun out. That is going to be the death of the Spectre. Very bold move, going for a full-on team fight into all those big ultimates. And, you know, it's for that exact reason that Access were being so hesitant about it before. They thought the Aegis was enough, but evidently it was not. And they do get 2 buybacks out, but it's only on the supports. Buyback on the IO is always very significant, though. You have the ability to rejoin fights. And, you know, heroes like the IO, heroes like the Furion always have very high value buyback, so that's not great. But it's a-okay if you can take an enemy Rax or 2. Finally breaking the deadlock in this game. And there's absolutely nothing that Access can do. They had to buy back on their Spectre, but their other 2 cores wouldn't have been up anyway. Of course, Phoenix, after taking that Rax, they're going to back off. They used most of their cooldowns in that fight as well. But once they've got that Ravage back up, we'll see if they decide to force the issue. We're getting to the point where Relocate can be used as a very tricky spell to get around the map and go for objectives. You can try and basically backdoor towers with it. Boat comes in, does land onto Shiro. It's not like he has an Aegis, but he's got an IO backing him up. They're going to be chasing forward, looking for any kills they can find, but they won't find anyone. Instead, they'll get a tier 2 tower. Do they want to continue onto high ground? They've got their big ultimates up, but God's Strength is only half duration. Sugar Syrup in the front lines. You don't have the best way. Skewer back. It's not a very long skewer, actually. That was not a max range skewer. Long GG will survive. And now they've got, well, the counter punch. Zeddy, though, he's got a BKB. BKB does not really help you against the GD, does not help you gain physical damage. You will be losing their Magnus. And with the God Strength expiring, Access, they should be able to chase on forward here. Ravage is available. It will be used. Does land onto 4 heroes. But all that's doing is holding them back. Spear of Mars is going to be landing onto the Disruptor. Disruptor is not a high value kill though, so they're going for a better target, trying to go for Shiro. Shiro, can he TP out? There's the Basher on the Spectre, but he doesn't go for it. Goes to the Tidehunter instead. Obviously much higher value kill to take down the Sven. That can still be called a win for Access. Again, it's just the trading back and forth of these cooldowns. But if you are able to cleanly take down, say, the Magnus and he doesn't get that RP off, it means it's very easy to go forward in a team fight and feel much more confident there. And, well, for what it's worth, game is still dead even. Sven pulling ahead of the Spectre net worth is definitely significant. It's one of those games where it really is all about the Sven and all the buffs on him. Long glimpse back. It's onto the Lich. It's up in the air. He will be able to survive for a while, but I don't think that was ever that important. But getting the assassination in return on the other side's support. We're going to be seeing the man fight here. Darley with the Basher. In theory, he is very strong. But the Magnus buffing him up. RP lands only onto one. Can they take down the Spectre? Boat coming in. That's going to make Darley much tankier. Harmon Storm coming out as well. The CC is very significant. And without that BKB, it's much harder for Shiro to get damage done. Out of the Yules, he won't actually get arrowed. That's a bit of a mistake. And in the meantime, Phoenix did actually lose their Magnus. Ends up being a bit of a win here for Access, just barely. Getting away with a sliver of HP on their Kunkka as well as Spectre. And still no one is able to get a real lead in this game. Well, smoke up here. They don't have the Kunkka boat, but it will be up in just a second. And for what it's worth, Access are operating around somewhat shorter cooldowns. We'll see if they find anyone. Phoenix are not actually playing very defensively. Smoke gets broken onto the Sven, but Sven, he will survive. He will be able to turn around. Trapped inside that arena. Doesn't have the God Strength, so he's very hesitant to use the BKB. He will finally use it just to escape. That means he can't really fight back. They're going to be stunning up a Spectre here, but that Harnstorm once again coming in. So many stuns, no BKB on the Sven. How are you ever supposed to fight back here? He's just getting bashed. So many ways to control him. He's getting kited around. He will be able to cleave down one. He's still very strong, but it's only a matter of time. But they lose the Spectre. Spectre under the tower. Now with both position ones out of play, it's a 3 versus 3. Access looking to make a hasty retreat. There is a relocate that can chase. They won't need it to find the Lich. For Phoenix, there's so much riding on the back of this Sven. The IO exists almost purely for this Sven. The Magnus with the Empower also. He's just there to land the RPs, let the Sven deal damage. But even without him, Phoenix Gaming able to clean up a team fight, if only just. Roshan's not up. Just approaching minimum timer here. Mars goes in. Trying to focus down the IO, and that's a pretty good start to a team fight, I think. The IO, he does have buyback. RP is available. It's going to be the Disruptor taken down. That's not too big of a loss. But if they have RP, as well as the Ravage up, if they buy back on the IO, it's hard to say that they actually have a numbers disadvantage.
Dire's courier has been killed.
Well, looks like they're not going to press the issue. Roshan's not up, not too much to fight over. I think 40 minutes in the game, both teams are realizing that they can't really just overpower the other.
Radiant's courier has been killed.
Roshan's going to get scouted out. Refresher Orb is big for a Tide Hunter, but I think that means he doesn't have buyback. Moonlight Shadow looks like Access want to go for a fight, at least force out the buyback here. Long GG uses his BKB very early on. That means he has to run away as the BKB expires. Cooldown advantage now for Phoenix.
Radiant's bottom tower is under
Tense
attack.
moment. I mean, this is Aegis Cheese, and I don't know if it's a Refresher Short or an Aghanim's, but either would be very good. I think getting an Ags on the Sven would be huge. Getting a Refresher on either the Tide or the Magnus is also huge, and it's going to be the Refresher. Smoke up Phoenix. This could be the one fight they need to win. Arrow landing onto Sven is definitely something worth mentioning. Here we go. Ravage lands on the high ground as well. RP though, it misses. But we've got the Refresher here. We're going to be seeing another Ravage in just a second. They won't need it to take down the Spectre, who does buy back immediately. He went right back in. And our Tidehunter, he doesn't have mana to use his ultimate a second time. That's pretty big. The Sven though, he's still fighting. Io coming back in. Can he buff up his Sven in time? No. Sven gets taken down by the Lich. And that Io buyback, if you're not tethered to the Sven, then what does it really do? He will be able to save his Tidehunter, I suppose. That is your answer. But now your Sven, despite buying back, he doesn't have the God Strength. Do they actually have the damage to take down the Spectre a second time? Access with the numbers advantage, but still being very careful about this. Gonna TP back to base, heal up, X-mark themselves back. Access looking better in the health and mana now. Do they want to go in? Ravage has been refreshed. He's got the mana finally. Sugar Syrup going in. Gonna get arrowed. I think they have to kill him if they want to try taking Roshan first. Shiro goes in. He doesn't deal nearly as much damage without that God Strength, however. Boat comes in, very big with the buff. It's actually the Ghost Ship Fleet. And in the back lines, you've got this Torrent Storm dealing so much damage. You've got the Spectre taking out everyone except for this Sven. And now this Sven, I mean, he's got his BKB up, sure, but then what? You just don't hit that hard. You are going to get guided around 1 versus 5. It's not enough.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Phoenix, I understand what they were trying to do, but just did not work out. That's one of the troubles of playing the Sven is you really do need a Refresher late game in one way or another. And Access, just able to play around these long cooldowns, eventually do take it in a very bloody game. That gives them the clean sweep, actually, which puts them into a pretty good position. I think so far we've only seen 2 zeros in the Chinese division. Not too sure what that means for the standings. We'll see that in just a bit. We've got another game coming up in just a second. That's going to be another Chinese game. It's going to be... Let's see, 1 second here. It's going to be Aster.Aries versus IGV. Now, that's an interesting one. Some of the bigger names, some of the sister teams or youth squads of some of the bigger names in China. So we'll see who comes out ahead. That's coming up in around 20 minutes or so.
So I've come to the conclusion, just a rotten piece of fruit. So I'll end up dying slowly, rotting away. See, I just want to be able to climb without a fall, to get out of this maze and run. Please strike me thunder, let me get closer to the light. Please strike me thunder, so I can be free. So I've come to the conclusion, I'm just one man amongst thousands. In this world I'll love them, sure they'll do fine without me. The chemicals in my head don't work as yours, 'cause every piece of road is a
Art.Aries banded out in the first phase. And so without that Viper in the picture, it becomes more up to that position 1 to try and counter it out. We see certain core picks such as a Terrorblade come in. And Terrorblade can do very well later on, mostly because of just the raw damage, the raw strength of the Terrorblade, but Reflection is very nice to have against the Spectre. But then you also have to think about sort of the bigger picture. It's not just about the immediate matchup into the Spectre, it's also about being able to push towers very early on. Here's like the Troll Warlord as well, can attempt to beat the Spectre late game 1 versus 1. And it's no surprise that we see the Terrorblade being banned out. Terrorblade a decent hero to have against the Phoenix Egg as well. It really does make a lot of sense.
10 seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining.
Batrider ban's interesting. Not too sure what hero you'd want to play, which is bad against Batrider. Of course, it is more than just that. It is a very strong hero overall, very flexible in the lanes. But IG Vitality have yet to show their hand. And I really do feel like these are some very suspect bans. Something's going on here.
Seconds remaining. Dire team banned. Dire team pick. Radiant team pick.
Something's definitely going on here, but the Bane pickup is not what you expect to see. Drain Protector plus the Phoenix, it's a classic combination. Magnus being picked up in response. I suppose with Magnus picked up, it does make a little more sense with a ban on the Timber as well as the Batrider. Personally, I don't think Pain is too bad for the Magnus because you can just try and push out the wave as fast as possible. Go farm jungle from there. But Drain Protector, Phoenix, it's one of the OG combinations. Very obvious synergy there. Throw in the Spectre. I mean, these are all just very solid teamfight heroes. Long cooldown ultimates, though. But Death Prophet for Spectre is one of those combinations that lets you have the DP. You know that as long as you've got the Exorcism running, as long as you're not getting absolutely demolished, you're without a doubt one of the strongest heroes in the game at that point. And for that, 20-something seconds? You have free reign on the map, and it makes it very easy to play around for the Spectre. Banning out the Troll, I think that was something which would have been banned regardless, just because there's a good matchup into the Spectre, but all the more so when you have the Magnus, he's got that Empower available.
10 seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Dire team banned. Seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining.
Phantom Assassin likewise, no surprises there. Still got some of the more traditional Magnus partners such as the Juggernaut. I think Juggernaut is a pretty safe bet here. Good matchup into Phoenix.
Seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Dire team pick.
Bloodseeker coming out though, that's just more combination. And on top of the Train Protector, on top of the Phoenix. Big AoE abilities coming out with the Blood Right. Is a bit of a concern when it comes to the just TP out lull kind of thing. As it stands, only the Train Protector has a way to stop TPs. And every single other hero on Aster is quite susceptible to getting TP'd out of.
You may now select your heroes.
Alright, it's going to be Doodle taking the Monkey King here. Not exactly a hero you think of when it comes to the Magnus, but definitely a hero who benefits a lot. We see Monkey Kings often go for the Battle Fury anyway, so having the Empower means that's no longer necessary. You can go for these cost-efficient damage items. And there are a lot of options on the Monkey King, so I don't mind this whatsoever. It does give them a very big wombo combo. And if they can trap people inside the Mars Ultimate, got a great follow-up with Wukong's command. But we'll see. I think this is going to be a very explosive game. Got these massive teamfight abilities. Of course, that was the same for our previous game. So fingers crossed, hoping this is going to be an interesting one. I think it's absolutely possible we sort of just fall back onto the, every single position one, jumping around the map, farming away. Well, it becomes a 4 versus 4 skirmish. But at least with the Death Prophet and these 4 versus 4 skirmishes, she will be able to force down towers, I feel.
Prepare for battle.
Spectre heading into the safe lane, Death Prophet mid. Nothing too crazy there. It's going to be the Mars farming and the off lane as well. Could have been the Magnus off lane. I think Mars has a better chance surviving though. The thing with the Magnus is, and the off lane, you're hard to kill, but if you use your skewer out, then you're kind of zoned away for a very long cooldown, whereas Mars is just much harder to force away.
Seconds to battle.
I mean, it shouldn't be an easy lane for the Spectre. But I think the Spectre should be able to find farm. Mirana's always nasty. Mars is actually one of the stronger laners in the game. But little things like this will help. I mean, cutting away all the trees makes it harder for Mirana to get an arrow out of vision, makes it harder for you to be pinned. V-Ward coming out very early, though, that's a bit of an advantage for QI, QX. Means that they'll have full control over the pulls. And Monkey King, being a very strong hero, just face-to-face against most melee matchups, I think it makes sense that you'd want to be going for pulls, or wanting to stop pulls. You're going to want to perhaps go for the big loop around, pulling the creeps all the way to your tower. And one of the weaknesses of the Monkey King is attack speed slows. Jakiro can do very well against him in lane, as can the Phoenix, but nice dodge there using the Mischief on the Blood Right. Phoenix starting with the boots is interesting. He does have a lot of regen, a lot of tangos. But boots means that you're hard to kill. It also means you have no way of improving your absolutely terrible level 1 base stats. And Bane does not mind trading right clicks against most heroes because Brain Sap is so cost efficient with the heal as well as the damage. And so I don't foresee the Phoenix having a good time. If the Phoenix, is the one sitting against the Monkey King, that's all right, but the Phoenix has to deal with the Bane, and that's a completely different story. Mid lane butterfly effect. Range versus melee matchup, it's never going to be great. But with Magnus, when you max out the Empower, you can just head into the jungle very, very easily. Leap forward. Last, he wants to get this kill. We'll be able to get it. Low armor on the Treant Protector. And the boots, again, do not help with that. Bo2. I don't expect this to be a hard lane. I don't expect this to be an easy lane for him. But I still expected him to be Defined Farm. We'll see if that is the case, even with his Treant Protector being dead. And Monkey King plus Magnus. Monkey King is a hero we used to see go for a fighting build very often. Then there was a couple of patches when Battle Fury was OP, so we built Battle Fury on pretty much every single melee core. And now we're at the point where we have a choice. But since you have the Magnus with the Empower, maybe you don't have to go for that after all. Maybe you can go a little greedier and still farm. Butterfly effect, trying for the skewer. It's not going to work. Death Prophet, very good at keeping her distance. It's definitely just going to devolve into a bit of a farm lane, where the Magnus just pushes out the wave as soon as possible. Pretty big for Aries to be able to get the contest, though. I'm kind of surprised. I thought Monkey King with the Boundless Strike would be good at that. Now we're only level 1 here on QIQX. It will be taken low. It might actually go down here. Got him for the dive. Doodled, however, with the stun, is able to protect his support. Getting the bonus damage. He'll actually be able to force Kiryu to dive away. Both side lanes now going the way of IG Vitality mid lane. CS is still in favor of Butterfly Effect, even though he's taking a lot of damage. That allowed him to get a nice and early bottle. And he's going to be healing up with that salve as well. It's a bit costly. He will be able to get levels. He will be able to go jungle effectively. Got the 4-minute runes coming up. That Prophet actually, I think, might not have her bottle just. Is going to be running into a Mirana here. Supports on supports. And regen goes the way of the Mirana, so no regen. For Ken.
Radiant's courier has been killed.
Sometimes we see Treant Protectors being very active, especially with the boots. We see them take early points into the lead sheet, try and trade super efficiently, but no, he's just going to be maxing out the living armor very early on. Just going to be playing a very passive lane, just going to be trying to help the Spectre farm. But the Spectre is falling behind in CS. Magnus forced back home, couldn't get the bottle refill. But he can go jungle and that's not a problem. I actually wouldn't mind seeing IGV give over the lane to a support. Bane's not doing too well in levels, forced to TP out. They've got a pin onto the Train Protector. However, Arrow is very easy. There's nothing that Bo2 can do to stop this from happening. Doesn't even have mana for the dagger. And so, you know, what he's doing earlier, just using the living armor, not showing himself in lane, does kind of make sense. Mid lane, we've got the RP available. That's always a bit scary. We're going to be seeing that RP under the tower, the skewer back into QYXY. The arrows lands perfectly out of the sleep. And that is just a masterfully played combination. IG Vitality. Everyone fulfilling their job perfectly. Does mean that Doodle is by himself up top, but with the Bane being out of lane the entire time, he's very over-leveled. And levels on Monkey King. Always very nice. Bringing in the Death Prophet, however, it's not like they have a Rupture to hold down the Monkey King. They might just be able to force out the kill anyway. He is going to try and TP out. Barely is successful. That was so close. Still, Arius, they've used their Exorcism. They will be able to take this tier 1 tower. Glyph came out very early. They don't have a siege creep. But matter of fact is, Exorcism is probably the single best spell when it comes to taking down early towers. The downside is that it's a very long cooldown. And so IGV, knowing that they got their Monkey King out, I suppose it's not too bad. Everyone's still farming. Doodle gonna show up next to Butterfly Effect says, give me that Empower. As the Magnus heads back to heal up. It's only 4 kills, but a free K advantage for IGV. I think that those come from the farming efficiency that they're getting right now. Monkey King snowballing, very scary. I'm sure we'll be seeing an early BKB from him. Going for a bit of a dive here. Very under-leveled Phoenix. I mean, a level 3 Phoenix against a level 4 Mirana and a level 7 Mars. Bit of a yikes. And that's going to be yet another death here. Areas really do need EXP on their supports. A Phoenix, quite obviously, but the Phoenix mostly relies on the combination with the Overgrowth to get that egg off. There's no other good ways to protect the egg. Spectre farm is okay, and I think this is one of those games where you can scale into the late game. Problem is, the Monkey King, especially when he's got that Empower, he's just a much stronger mid-game hero. And so for the next 10 minutes, I think it's going to be very clear that IG Vitality have the advantage, at least until Arius can somehow combo together their ults. And we do see our Monkey King. He's not going for the Battle Fury. Would be a bit of a waste with the Empower. He's going to be fighting very early on, already looking to pressure the Spectre. He's 2 levels ahead. They're going for the dive here. With the massive TP reaction, it is time for IGV to get out. They will be losing their Bane, but for a 4-man TP, not terrible. Arius finally getting themselves on the board, but they still have a lot of work to do. The Spectre really cannot fight with just the Blade Mail. There's some games where only the Blade Mail is very effective against, say, a Phantom Assassin, against, say, a Leshrac. But generally speaking, heroes who are very tanky or of lifesteal do well against the Blade Mail. And the Monkey King, the Mars, Magnus, all of these apply. Really cannot hit level 6 any sooner on their supports. They've got the Exorcism back up, which provides the damage, but there's nothing stopping IGV from just focusing down Death Prophet. We're actually not going to be hitting level 6 on the Phoenix from just that tome. I think if he gets one more wave of EXP on top of that, and then they can maybe look to get that combination going. Or not, he will hit level 6, and this is where the game begins for Arias.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
Bo2 just farming up Shen Ancients. Doesn't even have the treads completed, so definitely not looking for a fight. But do you want to be trading farm against a Magnus team? Magnus is actually top of net worth right now, and he's just farming away. Monkey King, there's no good ways to catch him out until they have the ATOS and the Bloodseeker. With the ATOS, though, that is a different story. With the ATOS, they will be able to get around the map, will be able to threaten the Monkey King, threaten the Magnus farming by themselves. So one of the things about the Monkey King is, you know, if you get ruptured, you can't just use the Wukong's Command and try to fight it out. Irving going to be TPing into the mid lane. Death Prophet gets taken down by the RP without using the Exorcism, and I've seen this play before. It does not end well for Arias. DP is their main source of damage. They don't have much mana on the Train Protector either. Getting right onto the tree, everyone trapped inside the Mars Ultimate. Literally all the remaining members of Arias are inside here. A bit inconvenient for the skewer out with the spear, but that is still okay. IGV, they get the wipe onto 4 heroes. And the Wombo combo, it just never came out. Obviously, even if they used it, they might not have the damage to take the team fight anyway, not without their Death Prophet. But, I mean, this day has been a day of wasted potential. It's been a day of big ultimates that just never came into play. And Monkey King, he's so cost efficient in the damage department with the Mask of Madness. It's literally the single best item for damage, and that's the Monkey King. You benefit so much because you have the Jingu, you get the lifesteal out, and you get even more Jingu extremely quickly.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
Does mess up your timings, of course, with your spells. Very hard to land a well-timed boundless strike when you're being silenced, but when you're this far ahead, you can just win your right clicks, and I really don't see that being an issue at all. It's very efficient farming too. And then he's going to be going for the Echo Saber, going to be going for the Silver Edge, which makes a lot of sense against the Spectre. On an 8k net worth lead, 13 minutes into the game, that is very big. But we finally have that ATOS. I do feel like Arias have to try and get something done. Current rate of the game, they're just going to be losing too much ground. They've already lost 2 towers. Smoke up though. IGV, they've got the RP back up, they've got the Blink. Want to be going for the Spectre, but a smoke up from the other side of things. Spectre's going to have a home pretty soon. ATOS onto the Monkey King. No protection for our MK here. He's trying to TP out. That's just not going to happen. But of course, mirrored movement catching out the Spectre is just as big here. Arias all TPing up top. They get the Rupture onto the Mars. And the Mars, he will be able to TP back to base. And unfortunately, Bane not successful. Hard to say who benefits from that. I think the big thing is that Arias are still holding onto their ults. They can still go for team fights, they can still go for towers with the Exorcism. But you can just see the fear in them. And again, wasted potential, wasted ultimates. Or rather, ultimate cooldowns just not being used. Is trading farm necessarily bad? No, but matter of fact is they're just too far behind right now.
I must have them all.
Spectre late game is very reliant on there not being break. A lot of Spectre's late game power comes from dispersion. That's effectively something along the lines of 30% more HP. That's all damage being dealt to your enemy, which is kind of ridiculous. Dropped her out onto the Magnus. The silence means he cannot skewer out, means he's going to be taking blood right damage, but he is pretty tanky. Very aggressive big forward. Can they take it down? Dream Protector, will that reach? Says no. Overgrowth plus Supernova. What an amazing combination. Here comes the Monkey King. He does hurt quite a bit. Using the Mask of Madness, he gets the Jingu very quickly, but no one is playing with him inside his little circle. He will be able to take down the Death Prophet. That's a lot of DPS down, but that Jingu, he only has one more charge left on it. He's going to have to build up a fresh set of stacks. Unable to continue chasing onto Bo2, who will be able to disengage there. Not a bad fight for Arius, only losing the Death Prophet. But now, without their cooldowns, they have to back off, they have to reset, and have to go back to farming. IG Vitality, on the other hand, got Blink on their Magnus, they've got the RP. Would make sense for them to get something done. Now we're getting a bit greedy here. We're going for 2 kills onto both supports at the same time. And it was very possible that both kills escaped, but they were able to find the right targets. Take both of them down, so not bad whatsoever. They know that without the Exorcism. Arias probably not looking for a fight. And IGV might even be able to push down a tier 2 tower here. Really got to respect the RP being available. Ken trying to chase down Thane. But he doesn't have that much follow-up. His supports are still dead. And with 9k advantage, it's not just showing on the cores, but the Mirana being very farmed. Actually, Mirana just a tad behind the less farm cores in this game. No one gonna be dying in that exchange. Dive forward from our Phoenix, has the egg back up, but they don't have the Exorcism just yet. They don't have the Haunt either, so they do have to be a bit careful. IGV, they're thinking of going back in. It's a very easy setup with the Nightmare onto the tree. Well, they do get in, they do take down the tree, but losing the Mirana in return. Fighting into the egg, fighting into Supernova is a little bit too hard, but without that Supernova in play, Arius have only just got the Exorcism back up, they've only just got the Haunt back up. IGV are going to be chasing them down. And who will they find? They're able to get the Skewer back onto the Death Prophet, and without the Death Prophet, where is the damage going to come from? Bobo only has the Blade Mail. Really, you can't just ignore him. And from the Bloodseeker, it's mostly just burst damage. From the spells, he doesn't actually hit that hard with his right clicks right now. An IGV, their net worth lead does grow slightly. It's 8k before, now it's 11k. 11k is significant at all stages into the game, but it's very early days yet. I mean, we're barely 19 minutes into the game. Looking very good for them. I do like the item choice over Monkey King. I think Manta is very good this game, better than a BKB even, because of the Ogre growth. Bit of a pick off here, nothing too significant. But when you're behind like this, Arius, you can't afford to be bleeding out kills, because when they know that the Phoenix is down, that's so much map control. They're not too scared of the Overgrowth itself, they're not too scared of the Supernova itself, it's both of these together. Now they're pressuring the bottom tower. I don't know if they're going to go for a full commitment unless they can find a nice RP onto a couple of heroes. Battling over the vision here, they are able to RP the backline. Once again, this Death Prophet gets insta-gipped before she can do anything. And she does actually have a heal scepter, but just cannot get it off. And the egg is in a decent position. They're trying to focus it down. Will they be successful? I don't think so. It is a very big stun. Bobo will be able to turn around and get one of those kills. Now, can they clean up? Bit of a blunder there from IG Vitality, but they're going right back in. Phoenix, no egg, low armor, gets taken down, and the Yules Well, this should be an easy setup if we can find the right angle. They're not even going to need the spear. My goodness. IGV, they're just so far ahead. And our Monkey King, top of net worth, going to be taking that tier 2 tower down bottom. Not your typical item build on MK, but I do like it. I like it a lot. Now he's going to be going for the Aghanim Scepter afterwards. I'm actually unsure if the Aghanim Scepter clones can attack wards. When I say wards, the Phoenix Egg is actually coded as a ward. So if you could de-ward with your Monkey King illusions, you will be able to kill eggs with it as well. But they don't push the issue, and why do they have to? They're up 15k. I really don't know how you try and stop this. The obvious answer is to just go for a team fight lull, which was possible 10 minutes ago. But very similar to the first game of today that we saw, they just had these ultimates sitting on them the entire time, not actually using them together. And just like we saw Faceless Void cast only 2 Chronospheres in a 30-minute game. And there's honestly not much to say. I mean, if you're not using these tools you have at your disposal, whereas the enemy is able to play their game, just logically it would follow that you end up falling behind by not a small amount either. Right, so I do believe the Monkey King Aghanim Scepter clones can hit wards. I have no reason to believe they cannot. And that's great because they're not affected by attack speed slows. They're not affected by disarms or roots coming out from the Dream Protector. Smoke here from Arias. I kind of want to call this a desperation smoke. But I just don't see what else they can do. Trading Farm is not going to work. Guardian Greaves immediately purging off the ATOS. Mirana able to leap out once again here. Bane actually not that mobile, but here comes the Monkey King. Exorcism being used, Egg being used, as well as the Haunt. IGV, they will lose their Bane, but if they can disengage with all these cooldowns being expended, they can be happy fighting back, but Doodle does get caught out. He is going to be taking a lot of damage face-to-face against the Spectre. Lifesteal is not enough to keep him safe. We're finally going to be seeing the Arena of Blood coming out. Can we get an RP? There's so many heroes grouped together. But no, IG Vitality just going to back off. Not going to go for it. Losing the Monkey King, kind of getting caught out there was not great. I think his positioning was a bit questionable. Actually jumping down from the trees without being able to join up with the rest of his team. Arias still fighting back, but the game barely just looks better. Importantly, they do get a couple of BKBs out. They got the BKB from the Mars. That's a 10-second BKB, I believe. So that's something. But they're still holding on to the RP, IGV, just sitting together in the mid lane, I think, just waiting for the Monkey King to respawn. No, they're not even going to wait for that. They're just going to go for the smoke. They say, no ultimates, no fear. Let's go. And Mars with the Blink as well as the Yules is a very nice setup. Ooh, nice pin there. They actually do spot out the tree. It was fairly obvious what was happening, but it wasn't guaranteed that the spear would hit. And even if you know he's in rough vicinity. Going right for Roshan, actually. And this would be much faster if they had the Aghanim Scepter. Axe is surprisingly good. I'd say it's roughly even when it comes to the effective attack speed you gain compared to a Gyrocopter Axe. And those two acts are very similar. Provide damage based off your AD, based off your on hit.
The prize is mine.
If you do the maths, it works out to being, I think, maybe 140 attack speed on the Gyrocopter axe, and I think it's something similar with the Monkey King. The difference being that the Monkey King illusions, Monkey King clones cannot move, so he kind of can be kited around. If he's able to sit there and fight, and his illusions are sitting there and fighting, very hard to beat him face to face.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
Arius grouping up, especially down in Aegis. It's not like they can split up and try and fight. Monkey King in the front lines, fearlessly fighting. We are going to be finding Death Prophet once again. Death Prophet has the Exorcism, isn't going to use it, just going to accept death, and we've seen this so many times. DP dying before the fight begins, and then how do you really approach this from Arius? All you can do is run. If they're able to get a clean initiation, that will obviously help it. Now with the Aegis, you can only use your Egg Overgrowth combo once up top lane. Spectre getting gold out. No teammates to back her up, completely out of mana here. And Doodle, you deal so much damage on the enemy front run. That's a very easy kill on what was supposed to be a fairly tanky Spectre. And props to the Spectre actually keeping up in net worth, but the rest of her team is not doing well. Spectre's actually 50% more farm than anyone else on her team. RP, who's it on? It's only onto the supports. But guess what? The supports are perhaps even more important than the Spectre in anchoring these team fights. Everyone does have buyback, and we are going to be seeing the tree buyback. I think if you don't buy back, you're going to be losing the racks much faster. With the Treant being alive just by virtue of the living armor, which we actually haven't talked about too much this game. But it's very hard to whittle down these towers. You are going for clean kills, there's not much point just chipping at some damage. And it is a bit surprising, it does say something about how the game is going. If a Treant team is down all of their outer towers 28 minutes into the game. Normally does not happen unless you're very far behind, which they are. Gonna be hunting for the Spectre here. Spectre starts showing herself top. Magnus is chasing. Bo2 trying to TP out, will be successful. Interestingly, going for the Radiance. Not too sure how I feel about that. It's good against the supports, I'll give them that much. And it's good for canceling Blink Daggers. Speaking of Blink Daggers, in we go. Curving. Is able to chain that into a very easy Murata arrow. And they will be able to take down the egg shortly after. Maybe not if that Overgrowth comes in. But no, the Mantis Style. Mantis Style helps purge that Overgrowth, and they will be able to take down the egg. And they could go for more, actually. If Butterfly Effect finds a good opening, he will get that Skewer out. Or Skewer in, even. You also have to disengage. It's already a win, however, getting all of these long cooldowns. I don't think it's worth diving into enemy territory when you can just wait out the Exorcism. But the Monkey King with a Life Steal, he'll be able to heal back up. No problems there. Won't have the Aegis for that much longer. Less than a minute on that one. But I think they can attempt to take high ground. No Egg, no Supernova, no Exorcism. If you don't take this opportunity, you're not going to get a better chance until you get another Aegis, which is much further down the line. Gonna be missing on the stun of Monkey King, and Magnus can't get a follow-up RP. Well, the Aegis expiring. Maybe it's time for IGV to back off. Wasn't the most productive Aegis, but they did get a couple of towers. They did win a team fight. They were able to continue that net worth lead. Once we get the Satanic on our Monkey King, they're already having problems killing him, but he's actually getting away without building a BKB. And yeah, he's going to have that right now. All he has to do is disassemble his Mask of Madness, could build that into a butterfly later on. Radiance is completed. But I think the cores don't care about it too much. It's just that extra damage to assassinate. And before it's out, the Stream Protector here, who does not have buyback, and he's going to die. Phoenix dead as well. He does have buyback, but everyone trapped inside these ultimates. There's nowhere to run. The Monkey King, he deals so much damage. That Prophet is able to turn around. I mean, trying to fight right against this Monkey King actually goes well. I did not expect that to happen. Monkey King still just trying to put his items together in the middle of that fight. He had the Satanic, I think that wouldn't have even been close, but the Radiance, the Blind certainly helping out the game for Monkey King. And it's going to be the full cleanup here. Getting free kills, getting all the ultimates out. I did not expect that. I'm sure IGV did not expect that either. But their Monkey King, so close to having that Satanic. He does have it now. They had to play around with the item locking and unlocking. If not for that, I still maintain IGV would have absolutely crushed that. But little things like this do count. Arias, I think, can... I don't want to say consider themselves lucky, seeing as they did go for that fight very deliberately. Yule Scepter to counter the Yule Scepter in the end. Just too much damage for the Phoenix. Can they kill? Oh, that was big. They had the Yule Scepter up. I think they could have actually stopped that TP. IG Vitality, they're going to be seeing minimum Roshan in just a second. If it's a short timer, they can be very happy. They can just wait for Roshan, get the Aegis, get the Shees, and go end from there. And really, your only real threat is the Spectre. With Radiance, does deal a lot of damage, but is somewhat squishier. I think the MKB, which is coming out next for Monkey King, is really going to help. Makes all of his opponents much stronger as well. Just looking at the farm distribution, it's just not even close. I mean, our mid laners, Magnus literally doubling up the profit here. Morris uses his ultimate, going to be finding the Dream Protector. Catching out Dolan on the high ground, that's big too. I just don't see what Arias are supposed to do if they're not going to these full-on 5-man fights. In full-on 5-man fights, they are always a bit of a risk, and catching out Ken, just one after the other, they fall. IGV will take these kills gladly. Still do need to break high ground, but with the Dream Protector down, this is a pretty good time. Very long range Fiend Script here onto our Spectre. Magnus in with the Basher, doesn't have too much damage himself, but does have a lot of disable, does have that Silver Edge, and they will be able to get rid of Prime Enemy number 1. Prime Enemy number 1 does have buyback, as does the Death Prophet. DP using that buyback, you want to be using the exorcism sooner rather than later, I think. And well, sooner rather than later, because stuff like this can happen. Aeon Disc will allow him to get it off. Buyback here from our Spectre. Once again, on the backlines, is surrounded by the enemies, however, has to be careful. Doodle is able to get off the ultimate in a decent position, I think. Bo2, he will be able to walk out, unfortunately. Spectre is not really that important. Where is the team fight going to come from? And Spectre goes in, damages a bunch of enemies, but just can't finish any kills by herself. You need the backing of your team, and a very underwhelming game coming out from our Death Prophet. A very underwhelming game coming out from the Phoenix Treant combo. IG Vitality making it look easy, taking that one in 35 minutes. It's just game one of best of two. We'll be right back with game two. We'll see if IG Vitality can take the clean sweep. So far, they've only been faced with losses. So here's to them hoping.
team pick. 10 seconds remain. Dire team pick.
Mars!
10 seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Radiant team back.
We're back with game 2 of Aster versus IG Vitality. These are the two sister teams.
5 seconds remaining.
Two sister teams of Aster and IG respectively. And those are obviously very well-known teams. I can't quite say the same for these guys. IG Vitality were able to take a very convincing victory over Aster.Aries, however. And frankly, much like the first game of the day, it did not even look close.
Radiant team back.
I think ultimately just came down to Aster not being able to execute on their draft. They had this nice team fight combination, which we just never saw in play, and not at moments that mattered anyhow, or not enough. They're going to see the Viper out on the field, so there's no way that Aster are going to be picking it. So Aster opting to ban out the Spectre instead. Interestingly, with the ban on the Elder Titan, makes me wonder if Aster are thinking of going for a Morphling, and Morphling is the hero who is traditionally countered the hardest.
Dire team back. Seconds remaining.
I don't know. Templar Assassin ban as well? This definitely feels like some strange Chinese drafting that I don't know much about. Marvelous and Dying is a nice combination. I mean, you get your Tombstone up in a good position. You have everyone trapped in place. The zombies, they start adding up. And the Tombstone itself is a fairly weak ability if it just gets focused down. So the Undying kind of does have to be used in combination with other spells. I don't see why not. That's the Morphling ban. Pretty obvious when the enemy bans out the Elder Titan, I think.
Seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining.
Aster, on the other hand, they already see the Viper. They already see the Lich. These are heroes very good at kiting around melee cores, especially those who don't have magic immunity. So, I don't think we'll be seeing a Juggernaut come out here. Not really showing their hand just yet, only going with Skywrath Mage. Does give them a lot of follow-up damage onto the Mars. Mars, a great initiator. Probably going to be seeing an early Blink Dagger from him. Do have to say, not that much lockdown right now on the side of Aster. kind of got the Mars, you kind of got the Scarif Mage, but I'm wondering if something like the Anti-Mage will show up here. IG Vitality, do they want to commit for an early Anti-Mage? Because the Viper is a pretty good hero when it comes to enabling weaker laners. You just crush your own lane hard, you scale into the mid game, you get an ATOS, you force good fights on your own terms. The same can be said of the other side, actually. Viper not great when it comes down to locking down an AM, similar story with the Lich. The Tiny can be decent, however, but it is all just magical damage that IGV are showing so far.
Radiant team pick.
Anti-mage.
But it is going to be that AM IGV. They had to think long and hard about this one. They do end up taking it.
Radiant team back. Phantom
And the response to the AM, of course, is going to be the Phantom Assassin. That's not too crazy. But it does leave them, again, with very low lockdown composition. So far, their only hard stun comes from their Mars. Not that it's not going to be enough, but
5 seconds
they just don't have any good ways to lock down an anti-mage. Not until the PA gets a basher later on. We've got the Phantom Assassin, always got to think about banning out the Magnus. I am very certain IGV are going to be banning the Magnus. I think that's exactly what Aster need. That little extra bit of oomph to make sure that their PA can outscale the AM. That extra bit of team fight to make sure that they can just have more ways of taking the enemy head on other than just the Mars. Now, PA into Viper is interesting. To a certain extent, the Viper does counter the Phantom Assassin. It's a lot of magic damage. PA tends not to do well against that. But, you know, disabling the evasion, slowing down the attack speed, just kiting her around, all of this can be nasty. And the Lich, as well, on paper, is pretty good against the PA. I say on paper, none of it matters if the PA just gets a BKB, one-shots you, and there's literally not much to say afterwards because you're just dead. Puck ban here. Not quite the Magnus ban I was expecting.
10 seconds remaining.
An interesting Kunkka ban from the other side of things.
5 seconds remaining.
I've been seeing more Kunkka recently, and it tends to be that spellcaster-based Kunkka. Getting a Spirit Vessel, getting an Aghanim Scepter. And I think both teams definitely looking for a little more utility, a little more lockdown. With the anti-mage, with the PA, you can't be happy taking this into the later stages of the game. Now, it's also entirely possible that we see a mid-tiny. And, you know, I am a fan of mid-tiny against Phantom Assassin. Just burst her down before she can find farm. Very squishy against magic damage.
10 seconds remaining. Radiant team pick.
But no ban on the Magnus. Okay. I think it'd be very strange if Aster don't pick Magnus here. And if they do, you know, maybe IGV are ready to counter that straight up. You know, maybe something like a Rubik. But no, they go with the Timbersaw counter. And that's a similar thing there. You know, they were very prepared to have the enemy pick the Magnus. And playing against 2-strength heroes, that's great. Playing against the Phantom Assassin as a Timbersaw, that's also great. It's going to be Butterfly Effect playing it, so it's going to be that mid-Timbersaw. But there you go. That's the draft. That's how it works. Magnus sort of being the bait pick. Now, of course, Aster, I'm sure they were well aware of this themselves. Just have to check themselves for a moment. You know, do we really want to commit? But at the end of the day, Magnus PA, great synergy. even the Empower. I mean, sometimes we even see Magnus's played as the support. All you do is run around, just make stacks for the PA, give her Empower, hope to get a Blink Dagger at a relevant timing later on. And that's it. And that's often more than enough contribution from Magnus. It's just how good this combination is. We'll see how well he can do in lane against Butterfly Effect. Now, obviously, the Timber Soul crushes the vast majority of strength heroes in a 1 versus 1. So that's not too surprising that they pick it. But at the same time, Timber Soul in mid lane, you can't actually, can you? So one of the things about Timber Soul in the side lanes is that when you get really far ahead, you can just farm in between the tier 1 and tier 2 tower, which I guess is harder to do in the mid lane. Always do have to think about the fact that Magnus can just head into the jungle, just try and push out the wave as soon as possible. Or you try and just get early levels on the Magnus, maybe swap in for the Skywrath Mage, who will have a much better time. You just get your Skywrath Mage EXP while Ken farms up elsewhere. So there are some ways to deal with this Timber Soul, even if his options are somewhat limited. It's harder to get a Timber Chain out in the mid lane as well. There's just fewer trees sitting in the river. But for IGV, they've got these very aggressive cores, yes, but they can play the long game. They can play the anti-mage game. But we're going to hit a very scary point, maybe 10 minutes into the game, where the Timber Soul is at its peak, and we're going to be seeing a very innocent first blood here. Is innocent the right word? I guess there's just not much you can do to stop that, running onto high ground into 3 enemies with multiple slows. You're pretty dead. We're seeing that many heroes down bottom. Our anti-mage is going to be trying to contest that, but unfortunately, Dolam outclicks him. That's going to result in 3 runes going the way of Arius, along with First Blood. That is a tiny net worth advantage. Does mean that the PA can get a nice and early Wraith Band. We'll see if that actually ends up being significant. Viper off lane, you max out that Nether Toxin. It's kind of hard to actually kill people, but you can force them to last out on the tower. You can deal some damage. As you get more levels into the poison attack, as long as you have mana, you are very strong in lane. No questioning that. But mana is sometimes an issue, and that's why we see some of these offlane Vipers go for bottles. Now top lane, Dolam should have a decent time against the anti-mage. There does come a point where the anti-mage, with mana burn, does take away all of your mana, but then if you're out of mana, then the AM does absolutely no damage to you. Toss up here, taking a lot of damage. Level 2, nice and early for last. He will be able to find the kill with a right click. I don't think that was supposed to happen there. And that build that they got from First Blood from the bounty runes, that's gone. That's just straight up gone. Corey's able to tank up those creeps, making sure that his PA can get them without having to farm out of the tower, so that's nice for him. That was not supposed to happen at all. At some point, we're probably going to be seeing that Soul Ring on Dolam on the Mars. Corey gets taken down. Poison attack. What a great ability. And Irving, he's not hesitating to use his mangoes. You are just a walking range creep, a flying range creep rather, on the Viper if you don't have mana. But if you do have mana, my goodness. Just the constant harass that comes out. The enemy is low. There's so much kill threat. Now mid lane is going poorly for Ken as expected. But he does have a lot of creeps that he can farm in the jungle. He's playing on Radiant side, which is the better side for doing this as well. And so as long as he doesn't die, as long as he soaks EXP, I think he can still be happy, and that's where you put in Skywrath Mage. Bottom lane, though, finding a lot of success on this Viper. Taking down the Undying is one thing, but if they get another kill onto the PA, she's only just respawned and come back in here. Well, that's quite painful. I did expect this to be a bad lane for PA, but maybe not this bad. You know, I expect it to be more of, okay, let's just put the Nether Toxin in lane. Let's push out the wave. You know, let's go for a pull while the Phantom Assassin last hits on their tower and loses some EXP and CS to the pull. I thought that was how it was going to end. Interestingly enough, we're actually seeing the Magnus being the one who tries to farm in between the tier 1 and tier 2. I suppose that is one way to get around the Timber Soul in the most literal sense. But it is always a risk. At level 4, you get the Timber Chain. And the Timber Soul can't really try and hunt you down, but killing the Courier with the bottle on it, that is huge. I think Timber's still going to have a good time. But the Magnus just has that much more freedom. Anti-Mage up top is last hitting all right. But the Mars is getting a lot of farm as well. And the Mars, who gets early levels, gets up to an early blink, you know, he's going to be the primary initiator for his team. I think you tend not to want to start with an RP in a lot of scenarios. And despite all this dancing around, it is very clear that Butterfly Effect has the advantage in this lane. So yeah, I really wonder at what point, you know, do you just start swapping in other heroes? Magnus level 4, level 5, you get free points into the Empower. Just farm creeps, no problem. They do lose the Anti-Mage up top, though. So both safe laners in this game are not doing too well. And, well, speaking of, safe lane supports is getting taken down. If you're not hiding behind the tower, that's just naturally going to happen. You've got no CC. But guess what? Mirrored movement once again. And this is just in time for the 5-minute runes. Bottles on our offlaners. Gonna be filled up here. Tiny Illusion actually able to deny the bounty rune. And so Ken, you know, he's gonna skewer in. He's gonna see the illusion and knows exactly what's happened. He's gonna be very disappointed here. And now it's Butterfly Effect's turn to tank the tower. To get between the tier 1 and tier 2, and there is no way to stop this guy, frankly. No matter what heroes you bring in. Anti-Mage gets pinned to a tree but does not get taken down, and instead they get the Scarif Mage kill. On the other side of things, losing the Phantom Assassin. That's the 3rd death on the PA. What the hell is happening down there?
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
Irving, the big bad bully, soon to have his ultimate, actually. And that's going to make life even harder. Ken doing his best to find farm. Will be level 6 soon. Last, he's got the Tranquil Boots. He's surprisingly fast. We'll be trying to hunt down Ken.
Dire's middle tower
In fact,
is under
they're...
attack.
No, Timber Soul, he's just staying mid. And Ken, really struggling to find CS. I really do want to see him. I mean, especially with Kirito. I mean, up top, he's a vulnerability quite clearly. You know, what's the point of having the Scarif Mage up there? Why don't you just put him in mid? On the other hand, the Mars is actually doing very well. Been able to get a couple of kills, including onto the Anti-Mage. Once he hits level 6, that is a lot of kill pressure. Maybe not so much on the AM, but maybe they can rotate out. Maybe they can try to get onto this Timber Soul. Try and kill him with magic damage. You're not going to kill him with physical damage, I can tell you that much. So Bo2 showing up in the mid lane is not going to help whatsoever. He's just tanking the tower. Absolute raid boss here. With Tiny coming in, they are able to secure the kill onto the Magnus. These two supports coming in, I mean, together they have less levels than the Tiny, let alone the Timber Soul. Timber Soul, interestingly enough, not going for a single point into the Timber Chain, so this is much more mana efficient. Does mean he has less mobility to hunt down kills, but what does it matter? You can literally tank this tier 1 tower indefinitely. IG Vitality, they knew exactly what they were getting into. Letting that Magnus go through. Arius, they picked up that Magnus for the mid lane, and that was trap card activated. It's not actually going to be a super fast tier 1 tower falling, but that's not exactly the goal of the Timbersaw. Having the tier 1 tower here means that so much EXP, so much last hits is being wasted. They do bring in the Magnus as well as the Mars into the bottom lane, and I do like that a lot more than sitting in a dead lane. And they are able to take down the Viper. Pretty important kill. And this is just a much better distribution of resources than whatever it was they were doing before.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
Still have to contend with the anti-mage on the other side of things, but if you look at the overall net worth, it's actually not too bad. Phantom Assassin is working towards the Battle Fury, actually ahead of the anti-mage in that front. And on the net worth front, the AM is skipping boots, so it will be there just a bit faster. Magnus trying to skewer away. They do have the Mars ultimate butterfly effect, gets thrown in, will be to get that kill. Dolem, he still cannot finish off the Lich here. Even if he does get the kill, it's only a matter of time until butterfly effect cuts him down. Whirling Death. It can only mean death for strength heroes, and there's 3 of them in this game. There is no easy solution. I think they're going to have to wait until Scarif Mage hits level 6 before they have a shot at killing the Timbersaw, and that's why I thought they would put the Scarif Mage in that lane. Now TPs are coming top. Bo2 is in some danger, but very soon he'll have the numerical advantage. He gets bursted down too quickly though. And last, a bit over leveled for support, getting a lot of kills in the lane, or getting a lot of assists at least in that bottom lane. Means that he's able to join up, and he's going to have a decently timed blink, especially for his support. That's going to be pretty big. Arius very reliant on blink daggers, and I mean either the Mars or the Magnus to actually get kills. I don't see how they're going to start team fights otherwise. But if they do, I mean, they do have plenty of follow-up damage. They've got the Scarif Mage, they've got the Phantom Assassin. But more and more tools coming online here for IG Vitality. Atos is a great item when you're ahead. Just catch out the enemy's force fights. Mid lane, a hasted Undying is going to be running around, doing his best to deny his totem. My goodness. And that's really just the state of the game, where they have no good solution, and actually dropping the tombstone is only going to give over more reactive armor stacks. And taking down the Lich in the bottom lane, that's nice. Would be even nicer if they could actually kill the anti-mage here. But losing your Lich in the exchange for Mars, perhaps not that nice, and that's just what the Atos does. You can't really get free kills, you know, if you're in a situation where you're not together with the rest of your team. Anti-Mage trying to blink out here. Ares is out of mana. Can they get some crits? No, that would have been a massive break there. Ares, they just aren't getting lucky in any regard. I think that was the RP committed as well.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
Scarif Mage, we haven't seen a single Mystic Flare from him. Funnily enough, I think their position 5 might be their best source of damage when it comes to taking down the Timbersaw. Arius, their support, is just kind of roaming the map, feeling a bit lost. Whereas IG Vitality on their cores are splitting the map perfectly. 2 supports going for a bit of a smoke up here. They don't have the blink quite yet on their Mars, but they might still be able to kill the Phantom Assassin. That is going to be the case. That's not good news when you're P8. It's gone on like that. Probably will know that the enemy had a ward. It is expiring anyway, and what are you going to do about it? If you group up, play together as 5, you might have a shot at winning team fights. but then you're losing farm efficiency. It's always a risk. It's not like you have a Blink Dagger on your Mars or your Magnus just yet. IG Vitality with this last pick. Well, this is nice, getting a pick off onto the Viper, not an insignificant kill. All they had to use for it was the Mystic Flare.
Radiant's top tower has fallen.
With the Blink Dagger coming online, this is a very early Blink Dagger for a Tiny period, let alone a support Tiny. Going to be buying up that smoke. Anti-Mage soon to have a Battle Fury. It's going to be a 13-something minute Battle Fury. That's also very good. Just every single aspect, IG Vitality are pulling ahead. And we're about to enter an explosive phase of action. Viper is as strong as he gets. Timber Soul is as strong as he gets. As is the Tiny. And I fear for Arius. I mean, right now would be a good time to short sell Arius stock.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
They're going to be going for that smoke. We'll see what they can find. Finding the PA would be ideal, but they might even be able to find multiple targets, actually. Arius, they're grouped up top lane. They're trying to pressure this tower, but losing their Undying.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
That is the Blink Dagger reveal. With that Blink, I don't think there's any way that Arius can hang around in that top lane. Well, they do have vision from the illusion. They're going to be able to snipe down that tower. But can they get out TP from the Magnus? Will barely be there. Guess he's waiting for him on the other side. It's Butterfly Effect. And this man will not be stopped that easily. Mars almost has the Blink, and that's going to be very big. The Blink is not only for himself, but it's also for the Skywrath Mage. Battle Free completed for our anti-mage at a pretty good timing. It was bootless, so definitely do have to keep that in mind when you compare to the PA. Can they actually take down the Timber Zone now that they have the Mars Blink? If they can't, then they are in some trouble. No two ways about it. If a free 4-man rotation fails to kill the Temper Soul, but he's not going for an absolutely unkillable build. He's going for a fairly greedy build in a Bloodstone. And one of the weaknesses of the Bloodstone is, although it gives you a bit of extra HP, the heal over time can just be burst through. But Arius, they're going to go for perhaps a more vulnerable target. They realize the difficulty of killing this Timber Soul. I wouldn't mind seeing our Timber go for a casual hood afterwards. Okay, this is big. Anti-Mage farming in his own jungle. He will be able to blink away. The pings coming out, they're going to be going for him. Mars goes in with the ultimate immediately to TPs. Can they successfully save Doodle? He blinks out. Where was the Tombstone earlier? Doodle, he's still being slowed. We will be able to get out of there successfully. And of course, if you're on the other side of the map using Blink to deal with the Anti-Mage, you have no solution to Butterfly Effect. He's just continuing to get even faster in that bottom lane. And IGV, they know that there is no Arena of Blood. How are you going to fight against this immediately? All of their heroes grouping up in the enemy jungle. They've got the Blink here. Nice toss into the chain stun. This is going to be a very dead Undying.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
Well, seriously, what can you do here? Everything they've tried, I think they're making the right moves. But just falling a little too far behind in every single lane. IG Vitality, if you ask them, I'm sure they will say that they outdrafted their enemies, and Arius really struggling to fight back. They have skewered back a Butterfly Effect, but what does that mean? He's still healing up. He's got 20 stacks of reactive armor. Who even cares? He's going back in. He gets the kill. And attacking the tower is literally just another day at the office for him. Atos, great item for catching out lone heroes. We will gladly take the Tombstone on the high ground as well. It's another 200 gold that we wouldn't have otherwise gotten. I really don't see how you stop Butterfly Effect. I think we've reached the point where even dropping all of your spells on top of him when he doesn't have reactive armor is still not going to be enough. I think he's just so darn farmed. Ooh, getting a nice pick off on the other side of things as well. Phantom Assassin, I mean, has the Battle Fury. There is some hope if the PA can sort of get super farmed, super fed, and then take the game over from there. On paper, you've got a good matchup against the Anti-Mage. But it's still not great against the Timbersaw. Instant Silence is pretty good, but the numbers just not in their favor. Gonna be changing that out with the Mars coming in. Frost bouncing back and forth, dealing so much damage there. And Butterfly, he's there to finish off those kills. All they lose is the Lich. And Corey, he's just a sitting duck. Whirling Death takes down half of his HP, and I think that's going to be it. PA disconnects, that's going to be GG. IG Vitality absolutely destroying Arius in a clean 2-0. That only took 18 minutes. And in fact, that puts us slightly ahead of schedule. We're going to be heading back into the Southeast Asian side of things for a very important match. It's going to be Execration playing up. Just give me 1 second. It's going to be Execration playing against Vice. And these are teams that have a very good shot at making it into the playoffs. I think this actually might be the single most important game. Because Vice have a very, very good record. Execration have a very good record. If they lose out here, though, it means that teams such as Galaxy Racer will benefit, basically. So we'll see who can take that one. That's going to be starting at roughly 3 p.m. Singapore time. So we're heading back to C. No more Chinese games. We'll see you in a bit.
It's all about humanity. It's all about humanity. It's all about humanity. It's all about humanity. It's all about humanity.